Welcome back, our good friend Eric Mills from Action for Animals Oakland. He's been following the issue of live animal markets for a long time. And believe it or not, it's still going on in U.S. cities, especially in California. Of course, it's very bad in places like China. Eric, welcome.
Thank you, Peter. It's good to be back.
What is meant by live markets or live animal markets?
Oh, boy. They'd more aptly be called animal Auschwitz. They're just a nightmare. A little background. Back in mid-90s, about 1994, a woman in San Francisco named Pat Briggs was working at the Wax Museum at Fisherman's Wharf, was really upset about crabs and lobsters being boiled alive. So she took the issue to the Animal Welfare Commission, or in San Francisco under the Board of Supervisors, and we had a series of hearings, ended up with a lawsuit, which we lost. The judge actually quoted scripture that man has dominion over the beasts of the field and all that crap for his verdict. But folks need to know that these live animal food markets, so-called, are found all over the state, mostly in the Asian communities and various Chinatowns in Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento, San Jose. And I visited them many times myself. Folks need to know that here in California, we import about 2 million non-native American bullfrogs for the markets, plus about 300,000 to 400,000 freshwater turtles, all taken from the wild. The frogs are commercially raised. They're not native to California. They're quite often bought from the markets illegally and dumped into the wild, where they spread disease, displace the natives, eat the natives. I have photos of American bullfrogs eating baby ducks and baby western pond turtles, an endangered species. The housing conditions are horrendous. They're kept stacked 4 and 5 deep, often with no food, no water, and routinely slaughtered, butchered while fully conscious. It is the stuff of nightmares. So we've been going to the Fish and Game Commission after we lost the lawsuit since about 1995, trying to get them to stop the imports of these animals. They have the authority, they have the moral obligation, and it's all about money and racial politics. Makes me physically ill almost. Finally, back in 2006, the commission, to their credit, voted twice unanimously to stop the import permits. Voila, problem solved. I thought we'd won the day. And then 2 weeks later, Sonke Meistrup, great name, was deputy director of the department at the time. And when the department refused to do their job, Mr. Meistrup, when challenged at a commission hearing, said, well, the director acts at the pleasure of the governor. So much for the democratic process. I spoke next. I said, quite frankly, screw the governor and screw you guys. You're not doing your job. The animals are suffering accordingly. State laws forbid the sale of diseased and parasitized animals for human consumption. All of these animals are diseased and or parasitized. The San Francisco SPCA back in the mid-90s, and I've done several myself, paid for about 30 necropsies on the frogs and turtles, routinely found E. coli, Salmonella, Pasteurella, all three of which are potentially fatal in human beings, plus Giardia, blood parasites, one case of malaria. As I said in one of the news articles, I'd sooner eat a dead rat than one of these animals. And compounding the issue, and probably far more important than all the rest of it, is about 60% of the bullfrogs tested positive for the chytrid fungus, which has caused the extinction of more than 200 species of amphibians around the world in the last 25 years. This is insane. So the Commission has received more than 3,000 letters in support of what we're trying to do from all the environmentalists and scientific types. Huey Johnson, former Resources Secretary of the state of California, wrote twice begging them to do the right thing. Nothing. And now the Commission, in its wisdom, has decided to have a series of hearings starting sometime next month throughout the state and inviting all the so-called stakeholders. That'll be the market owners, the importers, the aquaculturists, the pet trade, the animal crazies like me. And it's another tremendous waste of time. Even if they come up with a 5-0 proposal that this be stopped, it's not going to happen because of all the politics involved. I don't know what it takes. Maybe a major boycott of Chinatowns throughout the state. We understand money, even though we don't understand morality very well in this state. So let's do what works. And there's so many conflicts of interest.
So evidently former Governor Jerry Brown, who is quite an environmental advocate. He was not willing to take this up, and now Gavin Newsom is governor. Has he shown any interest in this?
Don't know. When this issue appeared before the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco back in the mid-'90s, I met with Gavin and everybody else. Interestingly, the first supervisor to agree to meet with me was none other than Senator Leland Yee, now in jail for gun running and God knows what else. But he pointed out at the time that he was had a Ph.D. in child psychology from UC Berkeley. I said, okay, Professor Lee says, oh, call me Leland. Okay, Leland. Then we are on the same page. I'm trying to speak for the voiceless as you are with the children. And then 2 weeks later, he was playing the race card in the Asian Week newspaper saying we're attacking Chinese culture. After the commission had this 2 votes, they had a special hearing, which the merchants in San Francisco called for and got it. If the positions had been reversed, you can bet I would never gotten another hearing. And within 10 minutes, 3 legislators showed up to protest. I've been going to these commission meetings at the time for about 20 years. I had never, ever seen a legislator there for anything. And it was Fiona Ma from San Francisco, Assemblywoman, Senator Leland Yee, and now Congressman Ted Lieu. They all played the race card. They also bussed in about 125 elderly Asians who spoke no English, did not know the issue, just to pack the room. It was really ugly. And when Mr. Lieu got through speaking, Dan Richards, bless his heart, who was on the phone. This is the commissioner who got railroaded for that mountain lion hunt in Idaho a few years ago, was treated very unfairly, one of the best commissioners we've ever had. He was on the phone, and when Ted Lieu got through speaking, Dan Richards chimes in and says, "Sir, that's the most preposterous poppycock I've ever heard in my life. Jesus H. Christ." That's a quote. I about fell off my chair. But we still lost. And here we are again going through these stupid hearings, a waste of time and effort to show good faith. It's a delaying tactic. They need to do better. So I'm hoping folks will contact the department. Chuck Bonham is still director of the Department of Fish and Wildlife, 1416 9th Street in Sacramento, and raise hell. The animals deserve better than this, and the environment and the public health. It's just a no-brainer, quite frankly.
So especially for California residents, they should contact the department directly. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, the director's name is Chuck Bonham, Bonham, nice guy, and he's Resources Building, 1416 9th Street, Sacramento, 95814. And the Fish and Game Commission is in the same building. And there are major conflicts of interest, too. The governor, who's everybody beck and call, is acting, appoints the director of the Fish and Wildlife Department, appoints all 5 commissioners, appoints the Resources Secretary. So it's incestuous, and it's really stacked against the animals. And the department and commission's job is to protect the wildlife of California. They are not doing it, and they need to have their feet held to the fire.
Eric Mills, thank you very much for telling us about this incredible ongoing situation. Speak to you later.
Thank you, Peter.
More with Animals Today after this break.